I have a friend down in Dumaguete that made a very important video about why he moved to the Philippines. Him and I share the same values on a lot of the things he was talking about. And it's a very informative video, and I encourage anybody who is thinking about or has second thoughts about moving to the Philippines and listen to what Paul is talking about here. So many other expats that I've met here share the same values as well. I'll leave a link to Paul's Facebook page down below, and I do have his permission and authority to make this video. It's his Facebook video, as he doesn't have a YouTube channel.
I thought I'd take a minute and just maybe for my own self, kind of reflect back on why I came here and retired early to the Philippines. And I'm not saying that the Philippines is the only place that you should retire to. Trust me. Trust me when I tell you, there's some challenges here. Nothing unsurmountable. And the alternative of going back home doesn't even cross my mind. So, I'll just get into it. When I lived in America in my earlier years, I just did what normal people do. I got married, have kids. I actually adopted a couple of kids, had one biological son. And was married to my first wife for less than 2 years. That exploded. Was married to my second wife for like 8 or 9 years, and that exploded. And raised some kids. They got up on their own. They exploded. And so now we'll fast forward to, I've gone through the career. I've bought the house. I've got the 401k going. I'm doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm getting nice and prepared, and everything's going to be good for my golden years. And in my 50s, I started living life as a bachelor, 50-year-old bachelor in this big old house. It was just me. The kids were grown up and the wife was gone and blah, blah, blah. So it was kind of a weird, lonely existence. And I started to experience, even though I had everything that I thought I wanted, I had all this stuff. I had the nice TV, and I had the nice place, and drove a new car every couple of years. I was in the car business, so that wasn't difficult. But every day was turning into this lonely existence, Groundhog Day. Just one thing, one day was just like the last day, and tomorrow was going to be just like today was, and there was no, I just didn't see, I wasn't finding any joy. There wasn't any real happiness. I was starting to get bouts of depression. I was starting to have unhealthy thoughts about sticking around, which is never good. I developed things like anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I would go out, I would go to work, I would come home, I would watch TV, I would usually just pick up some sort of fast food or something, and the big day for me was if there was something really good on TV on HBO on Sunday. Right now it's Game of Thrones, everybody's watching. I used to watch Sopranos and Deadwood and The Americans, and those were the days that I got excited because wow, so the Sopranos are on tonight, and that's not a good highlight. I didn't have any real friends living there. The friends that I did have were from when I was married, and you know how that works. Half goes with her and some go with you, and the ones that went with me, they were already married and doing their thing, and so that just kind of fades away over time. Those people just kind of distance themselves, not intentionally, but you tend to distance yourself from one another because the commonalities isn't there. I had workmates that I enjoyed hanging out with, but again, they had their lives, their kids. I always hang out with people that are younger than me, kind of an example set from my dad. My dad's 94 years old, and he's like a force of nature. The guy, you wouldn't know he's 94. He looks better than I do. Which isn't saying much. But I asked him one time when he was like in his 70s, I said, Dad, how come all your friends are like 45? And he said, well, these other fuckers, they're my age. He says, all they ever talk about is they're going to die soon, and what kind of medication they're on, and how bad their whatever hurts. He says, I don't want to listen to that crap. He says, I want to have a laugh. I want to have some fun. And he does. At the age of 94, my dad still goes to Vegas a couple times a year, I think. He goes to Canada to go fishing. He still has a real estate business that he's active in, participates in, earns an income from. Goes to his club and hangs out. I mean, guys, he's remarkable. And God bless him, because he set that example. He put that bug in my head that you got to go after happiness, and you can't let these other people drag you down. And don't hang out with people your own age, because they're boring, for Christ's sakes. And that's very, very true. So here I am. I'm in my 50s or so in America, and I'm a bachelor. I'm living by myself. I'm going to a job that I don't like. I don't have any real friends. I don't have any kind of love life. I actually tried dating on, what was it called? Match.com. And I made this profile, and it was actually just sort of an amusement for me. I made it really funny. I made all these little quips and comments and whatnot. And I have 4 dates from Match.com. And after the 4th date, I immediately deactivated my account and made the conscious decision that I will never, ever date another middle-aged American white woman again. Just don't do it for me. I find the whole dynamics between men and women in America to be very, very confusing. I find that the roles were almost reversed. I feel like men have been emasculated in America. Friggin' women over there, the minute someone grabs their butt, they, go on Oprah and start a movement of some sort. So, no disrespect to women. I'm not grabbing women. It was just an example. There was one story that I'll relate to you, though, that just kind of summed it up. Before I came out here, I'm now 64, and I was just talking about my 50s. I was on this Match thing. And I swear to God, from the age of 50-something to now, 64, till the age of 62, which is when I came here, I did not date. I did not see a woman in any capacity other than to work with them and say hi. But the example I wanted to give was at my workplace, and a young lady that I had conversations with, and, sat in the lunchroom with and talked to her and kind of got to know her a little bit. One day she handed me a piece of paper that had come over the facts that I needed to complete my deal. And just me being a 64-year-old guy, or 60 at the time, 62, 61-year-old guy, I said, hey, thanks, honey. Thank you very much. And I walked away. Well, at the end of the day, as I was getting ready to go home, packing my stuff and walking out to my car, she caught up to me, and she grabbed me in the parking lot, and she said, I need to talk to you. I said, okay. And she said, I thought about this, and I like you. And you've always been a very nice man, but my name is Jill. I said, I know. Your name's Jill. I was confused. I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, if you ever refer to me as honey again, I'm going to go immediately to HR. I said, okay, no problem, Joe. Please, from the deepest part of my heart, accept my apology. Jeez Louise, what's up with that? I mean, I grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s. If whenever I went to a coffee shop or a Denny's or the mall or interacted with a female, we would call each other sweetheart and honey. I mean, any guy my age can sit back and say, yeah. I'd go to Denny's, and the first thing the waitress would do is come up and say, well, how you doing, Cupcake? How are you, sweetheart? What can I get you, baby? You hungry? And you go, yeah, beautiful. Give me a patty melt. Blah, blah, blah. Those days are gone. So, disenchanted is not even close to how I feel about all that. So now we'll move forward to where I'm in my 60s, and not only am I living alone, not only am I not dating, but somewhere along the line, this thing called the Great Recession occurred. And the beautiful house and the 401k and all this 35-year effort that I'd put into to make my golden years golden vanished. Over $1 million gone. Equity in the house, money in the bank, money in the 401k. And it's like, wow. That's a tough pill to swallow when you hit my age. And I wasn't prepared for it, and the money was no longer coming in that it had been. The job was history. That industry got killed. And so now you don't have any money coming in. Everything you've saved is gone. There's no love life. There's no companionship. I don't have any friends. I mean, they're all married, doing their own thing. Gee whiz, I got a little depressed. I also started to develop anxiety attacks, panic attacks. I had a massive panic attack when I was driving on the freeway from my dad's place in California back to Las Vegas. It took me like 7 hours to get home. So that, coupled with all the dysfunction that was occurring within my immediate family with my kids. I have one son who I'll share with you, is a full-blown heroin addict. I have another adopted son that at the age of 20 got sentenced to 20 years in prison for a crime. I have a third son, adopted, he was like my last hope, because he was diabetic, so he couldn't indulge in a lot of the nonsense that kids did, but he figured out how. So I observed him in the last few years that I was in the States, and he was smoking dope and going from job to job and girl to girl and acting irresponsibly. So that set in even more. What happens when you have children, at least what happened for me when I first had my children, was all this tremendous amount of hope and dreams, not for me, but for them. It was like, man, my son is going to go to college. He's super smart. He was in the GATE program at school. He's going to do all these. He's going to be a great human being. This guy I want my kid to change the world. I want him to be everything I wasn't. So, and then something like drugs and opioids and heroin come into the picture. And not only are you heartbroken, and not only are you crippled inside by that, but along comes feelings like guilt and shame and embarrassment, self-doubt. What did I do wrong as a parent? Where did I fail my son? And then the next boy commits this crime that lands him at the age of 20 for 20 years in prison. I mean, he's going to be in prison for as long as he'd walked the planet already. Yeah. And the third one is, you know, soon to be with him. So, my father and my best friend, Gary, pulled me aside because they could see where this was going. And they told me, Paul, you've got to stop. You're feeling guilty and ashamed and embarrassed, and you're down in yourself, and you're fretting, and you're drinking, and you're blah, blah, blah. But why? You did everything that you could. You didn't ever walk away from your kids. You invested in them. Your intentions were always good. Things like heroin or any kind of addiction is generally more powerful than the people that have the addiction, and it's more powerful than the people that are trying to deal with being around the addiction. It's just stronger. It's all encompassing. But that didn't change the way I felt, but it did give me a different perspective. It did make me feel better. That two people that I respect the most, it said, this isn't on you, bro. You know, this is, bad decisions get made. I've made a lot of bad decisions. They made some bad decisions, and now they're living with the consequences. So, I had made a couple of trips out of the country, one in 2005, another one in 2009. I had loved Southeast Asia, and when I was there, and then when I got to my 60s, I just said, that's it. I'm going to go somewhere. Started doing some research, and after investigating this country, that country, these laws, cost of living was a big thing. How much will I get on my Social Security if I pull the trigger? How much money can I save, even though it's just been wiped out? And blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, the Philippines. And most of the time, I'm a believer that just because you change locations doesn't mean your problems don't go with you. I mean, if you're an addict, you don't leave your addiction in America. It goes with you. If you're a manic depressive, it's a good chance that manic depression will follow you. If you're prone to anything, you can't just walk away from your problems. Well, I did walk away from my problems. When I left America, I was addicted to oxycodone. It had been given to me because I had 2 vertebrae blown in my back, and they put me on that, and I developed a dependence on it. Came over here and just gutted it out, got over it, and that was that. I had a change of scenery. I had a change of venue. I began to make friends. I began to hang out with people younger than me. And I did. I let it go. I was able to let go. I was able to just let go of the addictions. I was able to let go of the past. Let the past stay in the past. You can't change it. I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel. I feel remorse every day. I feel sad every day. I pray to God every day that things, whatever situation that my family is in, that they're safe and they find their degree of happiness. And that's what moving to the Philippines was able to do for me. It was able to reboot options. In America, I didn't have any options for romance. Here, I have plenty of options for romance with women that I'm very attracted to and are fun-loving, and I have my challenges with them, but that has been totally rebooted. That the whole love life romance deal is back on my radar. Money is not really an issue for me over here. I don't get a lot of money, but I live really small. I don't have a big house or a big car or fancy stuff. You know, my shirts are t-shirts and cargo shorts. And I'm happy. So what does that tell me? The big house and the nice cars were just stuff. And I was on the verge of, calling it a day. So what did that stuff get for me? Nothing. Over here I have experiences. I don't have things. Over here I have fun. I have the ability to help other people. I do have an opportunity, and I don't do it enough, but I do reach out to underprivileged kids every blue moon and try to do something to improve their lot in life. My friends, I'm able to help sometimes with listening to their issues and being a veteran of calamity. I can sometimes give them some insight and some thoughts as to dealing with those issues. So that's not even scratching the surface of why I came over here. It just kind of hits on a couple of major subjects, but I did it, and I'm glad that I did it. I'm not necessarily saying you need to go to the Philippines if you're in that kind of position. If you're watching this right now and you're depressed or you have family issues, sometimes you're going to take those problems with you if you change locations. But there's also an opportunity that when you come over to a place like this, where most of the people are living at or below or just above the poverty line, it gives you a total new appreciation, a whole new perspective on life and just how blessed you are. And I see these folks that have so little material things, but they have so much love and family and togetherness and joy and laughter. Sure, they got their problems. Sure, they have fights. Sure, they, get tired. But on the scale of 1 to 10 over here, the joy level on the average family here in the Philippines is like an 8 or a 9. Where in America, I found it to be on about a 2 or a 3. So anyway, this video is getting long. It's like 23 minutes. I had no idea I rambled on so long. I don't even know if it's going to upload. But next time, I'll do something about my life here. If you want to. If you want to leave comments, great. Comments is kind of what prompted me to do this video, to be honest with you. So anyway, I hope everyone is well. God bless you. I'm doing fine, and I'll see you next time.